and welcome back to another episode of Massholes with Mics, another three-person show, and we are sorry for no shows last week. I was under the weather. I think Jordan was dealing with some stuff. We were all kind of a little bit burnt out.
We were tired.
Yeah, that's the voice.
We needed a break.
If you're not looking at the video version, that is Jaclyn. That will be joining me alongside with Kyle. We are here to react to the Patriots 50 burger that they put up on the New York Jets yesterday at the time of this recording. A good game, by all accounts. A lot of ups that we're going to get into. And then a 10-question segment that is mainly sort of negative, just to balance out all the positives that we have from this game. But, as I said, the Patriots absolutely steamrolling the New York Jets yesterday. I believe the final score is 54-13. Brian Hoyer throwing passes with 7 minutes left in garbage time for no God-given reason other than to give Jordan, who couldn't be with us tonight, more N'Keal Harry fuel to his fire. So, with that being said, we are going to start as we always do. We got 3 up and 3 down to start. Does anyone have the urge to lead us off? Okay, Kyle, all you.
Well, I just want to go first, and because Jordan's not here, I'm just going to do one of his ups for him, and that was N'Keal Harry. He had a good catch.
One good catch constitutes an up.
Well, I mean,
for him, it does constitute an up.
As another fan of a fringe Patriots starter, you really have to just take what you can get. Especially when they don't get to play when they're facing the Jets, which I'll get into that later. But no, I mean, I will say though, like unironically about N'Keal Harry, like watching that play, I was like, oh, like that's what he's good at. Like that's what they should do. Like I don't understand why they try to do other things with him when like that's what they should do is just get him in a mismatch and just dunk it to him, you know. But on to what I was gonna say. My up is gonna hurt Jeremy, but it was BB Hulk smash Brandon Bolden. What a game for Brandon Bolden. This game led the team in receiving in receptions. I believe also in receiving yards. Had the big touchdown.
So. I think you're right.
Had some solid rushes. I mean, he was looking like prime James White out there. Granted, it was the Jets, which I will probably preface every single up that I say.
We'll get to that later. So the Jets is kind of understood, but we will get to that later for sure.
But yeah, no, I mean, Brandon Bolden had a great game. I was disappointed to see that Ramondre Stevenson wasn't in that game. Which I will talk about later. And one of my friends kept busting me saying, oh, but Ramondre Stevenson's better than Bolden whenever Bolden got one of those plays. And my good comeback was, I'm glad to see that Bill trusts Brandon Bolden against teams like the Jets and gives the difficult matchups like the Cowboys to Stevenson.
I think you did text that in our chat at one point yesterday.
If I didn't text that, I texted it in other places. But yeah, that's my first up.
Jaclyn, your number one up.
I mean, I'm just going to take the slam dunk here and go with Mac Jones. He had a fantastic game. His first career game over 300 yards passing, which is obviously a great feat for him. He also had some long balls, which I was very happy about. There were multiple 25, or maybe it wasn't 25 plus, it was 20 plus yard passes / completions. So that was an exciting stat to see as well. I think that he is overall getting a lot more comfortable, and it was nice to see him be able to kind of sling it out there in a way that, you know, we kind of wanted to see over the past few weeks. And now that, I mean, obviously we all kind of were hoping that this would be a game that they would just absolutely destroy the Jets and get some confidence back, because I think that's kind of what happened when they played them week 2.
Yep.
No.
Week 3.
Yep. No,
I don't
2.
know.
You're right.
Yeah, so that was kind of, we were all excited then, and we're all excited now, and especially seeing the growth for Mac Jones over the course of those weeks. Seeing his growth in general has just been fantastic. I've very much appreciated it. So he was definitely my number one up.
Night and day compared to the first time he faced the Jets. I mean, like, they still couldn't find ways to execute against the Jets, and I think that they figured that out this time.
I just want to rebut against Kyle's Brandon Bolden point. I thought it was funny. So a caller calls into Felger and Maz today. I don't remember his name, but he basically goes, "Hey, Felger, They pulled out all the stops against the Jets to show them that the offense can win in multiple ways. They're going to put up 50 points on any team. They can beat them down the field or running the ball. And Felger hangs up on him and goes, oh, yes, because this game really showed me that I need to prepare for the weapon that is Brandon Bolden, who the Jets made look like Christian McCaffrey yesterday.
Yeah, seriously.
My number one up was the offensive line. I think we can all agree right now that Mike Onwenu should have started the year at right tackle. And I think that we said that in our show heading into the year. Why Bill Belichick took this long to go and kind of catch up on the uptake that, yeah, Mike Onwenu is a pretty damn good right tackle. Makes no sense. But I guess if he got there, and that's what's important at this point. So when Trent Brown comes back, I want Isaiah Wynn kicked into left guard where he can do less damage. And let the big walking condominium that is Trent Brown take over that left tackle spot and really just be a bulldozer for Mac Jones. Hopefully Trent Brown comes back and hopefully he plays well. I don't know if that's assured because of his time with the Raiders. He kind of quit on that team, so I'm hoping he doesn't do the same with New England. That being said, the offensive line was very good yesterday. They were making holes. Mac Jones didn't really get touched, to my recollection. I can't remember a time where he was. He definitely didn't get sacked. I'm pretty sure. I don't even know if he was hurried that much.
I think he had one sack.
Okay, so he had one sack.
That on the stats line.
The Bolden touchdown that he threw, he had two guys in his face, and he kind of wafted it over. Both of them hit Brandon Bolden in stride on the left side, who scampered in. So that may have been one of the other times that he got hurried. But outside of that, they were as a unit very, very good. I'm hoping that they can continue that because Lord knows they're going to have to block Joey Bosa next week, Myles Garrett in a couple of weeks. Brian Burns after that. It's going to be a wild. Basically, every good team in the league has a premier pass rusher, and even if they aren't a very good team, they still have some good guys who can get to the quarterback. That's how you win in the NFL these days. And if this offensive line is supposed to be a strength, this is probably the game where I finally thought they looked like it.
And I will say that pass that Mac had to Brandon Bolden was like vintage Brady to James White. It was perfect. Yep. It was a brilliant play.
All right, Kyle, you got another up? We'll go two each, and then we'll go maybe one down, and then we'll move on here.
All right, yeah, so then I'm not going to pick one of the more obvious ones, I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
My second up was going to be Kyle Duggar. I think Kyle Duggar has shown a lot of good development this year. I mean, he led the team in tackles this week. He had another interception, a great catch, an absolutely fantastic catch.
Yep.
He now has more career interceptions than Jamal Adams, I believe. Yes. I don't know what his tally is, but... no, Kyle Duggar's looking a lot solid. I mean, he's had a couple games where he's looked pretty shaky, but he started to turn it around, and he's starting to show some promise and makes sense why, they used a second-round pick on him.
Especially because Devin McCourty did get hurt and didn't come back to the game with an ab problem. Now, in my personal opinion, it sounded like one of those injuries where if it was a tight game, I bet you he would have been back in there. But because they were facing the Jets and put up 31 first-half points, I think that they thought it was okay. They said, all right, let's chill with McCourty here. He's old. Let's give him essentially a mini bye week in the second half here and let him rest. And Duggar did very well in that deep safety spot that McCourty has occupied for so long. Jaclyn, you're next up.
Barmore, the Rook. He's been playing pretty well. He had, two solo tackles, one assisted tackle. And then he also had 2 QB hits. So overall, I think that he is kind of creating that pressure that the Pats need up front, especially for when, you play a team that has a better quarterback than the one that the Patriots just faced, aka the one that they will face next week, a much smarter quarterback. So I'm excited to see how he continues to develop as well. I'm high on the Alabama rookies, I guess. But I think that he was definitely a standout player for me.
All right, so for my up, I'm going to go with Bill Belichick. I don't necessarily love him running up the score, but I understand why he did it. And we're going to get into it later.
Why don't you love him running up the score?
I mean, it's the guy. That organization's such a trash heap. I don't know. It seemed kind of weaselly. I don't know if I would have liked it if I was on the Jet. If I was on the Jet side of things.
Well,
and
no,
I saw Brian,
you wouldn't have
I saw
liked
Brian
it.
Hoyer
You don't want
throwing
someone
7
putting up
minutes
50 points on you.
Of course, but here's why I say that. I don't think Bill Belichick would have ran up the score in a regular position. I think he wanted to give his team all the confidence that they could possibly get because he realizes that this is not one of those teams that he's been able to coach in the past where he can go and be hard on them. He has to be easy with this team. He has to give them a lot of leash. I don't know if you guys saw the post-game huddle that he gave after the Texans game. He gave the players Monday off, a victory Monday off, in a game that we all agree they were terrible in, that Texans game. And then he said, and I quote, we're really looking for a good 60 minutes, a real 60-minute effort, but this was 30, so we can take it as a start. In what prior year would you hear Bill Belichick say, hey, boys, that was a good 30 minutes, nice job, take Monday off? Like,
literally never.
He realizes that this group is not one that he can push. He's got to take it easy with them. So I think he was running up the score simply to give his team that sense of confidence heading out to LA. It wasn't because he hates the Jets, even though he obviously does. It was because he said, all right, this is finally a game where the Patriots are doing what they're supposed to do. So why not ride it out as high as possible heading into next week? Kyle?
And I think that goes into a lot of the narrative you were hearing in the pregame press conferences throughout the week where, guys like Matthew Judon were like, this is a good team. Like, we know we're not a 2-4 team. Like, we just need a chance to show it. And you could really tell that last week's win really demoralized the group, or they probably really felt like, or last week's loss, I think I said win, really demoralized the group where I feel like they really felt like they were in that game and, like, had their chances, but they ended up, just costly mistakes cost them the game. And, that's been a theme in a lot of their losses this year. I believe Jordan was like, they're like a couple dumb mistakes away from being like 5-1 right now. So It's one of those like, they know that they're good. And then I agree. Bill probably just let them run up the score. He's like, all right, yeah, let's show them how good they are. I mean, I forget who said it or if it was someone sent a tweet about it, but Bill went and like shook every player's hand after the game. I think that plays exactly into the narrative that you're talking about, Jeremy, where he's just kind of like, you know what, like, I need to give these guys their moment today.
An honorable mention as an extension of Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, great job on play calling yesterday. You had some screen passes that actually worked, which, I mean, we really haven't seen all year. So I'm gonna give him a lot of kudos as well. I thought he drew up a very good game plan. We're gonna get in. I'm assuming the only reason I'm only doing 2 ups for us is because we're going to be we're kind of going to be going through a lot of them throughout the rest of the conversation with this Jets game. So quickly, were there any downs that you guys wanted to touch on? And then I'll move on and I'll surrender mine here. Kyle?
I just wanted to throw out two honorable mention ups that I had also written down just quickly. Kendrick Bourne, looking great. Pass.
I do want to get to him. I want to get to him later.
And then Damian Harris ran the ball well, held onto the ball. Love to see that from him.
He was going about 6 yards before he was getting.
Fantasy league.
He was going about 6 yards before he was even getting touched by a Jets defender. That's how wide open the offensive line holes were for him.
Yeah.
All right,
or how bad their run defense was. I do have a down. Okay. Though,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was probably the only person I could have really given a down in this game, and it was Jalen Mills. I had praised Jalen Mills quite a lot the last couple of weeks, especially after the Bucs game, because I thought he did a pretty good job holding his own. But the last couple of games, he has not been very good. He got absolutely burned by CeeDee Lamb. And I will give him credit for not giving up on that play at the end. Like, even though Lamb was, dead to rights, had already scored the touchdown basically when he was at the 15-yard line, Mills still hustled back and still tried to make the play, which I did like to see, because someone who was having a tough game would probably in that situation just give up and let them score. But he's like, no, and I'm going to take a little dignity with me. But yeah, no, he did not have a very good game though. He was pretty much, the Jets almost scored their first quarter point of the season because Jalen Mills could not cover his guy.
Jaclyn?
That was mine too. I really don't think that there were very many downs besides the fact that, an injury, I guess you could count as a down with Jonnu Smith going down because he couldn't play because he was injured.
Nick Folk makes an extra point.
Yeah. So that was kind of a bummer, especially where he was kind of breaking out a little bit in that game and he was getting those targets. To see him have to be sidelined with an injury is not something that you want to see, especially with the amount of money that we're paying or that the Patriots are paying him. But that also led to Hunter Henry getting his, 4th consecutive touchdown of the week. So that's fine with me. Like, when one goes down, the other must perform, and Hunter Henry definitely did.
And my down is the broadcasting team. I'm so sick of Andrew Catalon and James Lofton. Please, Patriots, become relevant again. I want to have Ian Eagle on the calls as much as I dislike him at times. Him and Charles Davis.
I don't think I've ever heard you say I want Ian Eagle on the call.
Because normally he was paired with Dan Fouts, which was an even bigger minus. But now it's just Charles Davis. I want Nansen Romo. I want Ian Eagle and Charles Davis. I want Kevin Harlan and Trent Green. I can't stand the B, the D, F, and G. However you want to do E, throw it in there. The Z team. Whatever bums that they have trotting out for CBS for these crap games. Please, I'm so done with it. I'm so done. Okay. Greater discussion. Kyle brought it up earlier, and I think it's a good time to introduce it now. Is this game say more about the Patriots or the Jets? Good Patriots versus bad Jets. Kyle, I know you want to say something beforehand, and then you can get into that. I'll let you lead.
I wanted to say something. I did have one more down. It was kind of like a sarcastic one in a way. But I had Bill as a down because he didn't let Ramondre Stevenson face the Jets. I felt like that was a good opportunity to let and it actually this ends up kind of going into what I'm saying is like it's the Jets. Like, this is a kid who you want to build his confidence. Like, let him go out there and let him just ground and pound all over the Jets and let him rack up yards and gain that confidence and feel and I guess they ended up doing that for JJ Taylor, which is good. But I would have liked to have seen Ramondre Stevenson play it. Would have liked to have seen Ramondre Stevenson play in that game because I feel like he could have gotten like a score or whatnot, and it would have helped his confidence. And also, I was mad at Bill for actually going for it on 4th down against the Jets.
I think this game proves that maybe he's going to be more willing to go for 4th downs in the future. Does that affect your thinking on that?
If that's the case, then I'm happy. But it's also like after like 3 consecutive weeks of them like not going on 4th when they should have, for him to finally dial up a 4th down play when they're up by like 20 against the Jets, I'm like. Like, really, dude?
Well, I think that's the perfect time to practice. I feel like they use this as almost like a preseason game.
But also, like, you had so many opportunities where you could have done it in a practical situation where it could have helped you win at games that you lost.
All right, Kyle.
I would have rather seen them fail to do it against the Bucs than have them succeed against the Jets.
Was this more about good Patriots or bad Jets, though?
I think it was definitely more about bad Jets. At least on the offensive side. I mean, the defense, like, kind of didn't, like, they struggled at times, which was definitely a little worrisome, but they, obviously were able to get
You're talking about the offensive side for the Patriots, correct?
Yeah, the offensive side for the Patriots,
gotcha.
yeah. No, I mean, the offensive side for the Pats, like, I mean, they were definitely clicking on all cylinders, but it really, I didn't see a ton different from what I'd seen from them in the last couple weeks. Definitely they were executing better once they got into the red zone, but at the same time, like...
Yeah, they converted to touchdowns. That was the big thing from
that was
this
the big
week compared
thing,
to previous weeks.
And... the flashes that we see were just a lot more consistent. Like Mac was still making these, like, was making the safe plays, and then, like, every once in a while conjuring up a big one, and the run game was good. So I definitely, Damian Harris had a game like that because he was facing the Jets. I mean, let's be honest.
Jaclyn, more good Patriots, bad Jets?
I would say no. That was his second week in a row getting 100 yards rushing. He got 100 yards rushing against the Cowboys.
Yeah,
but I don't think... And the Cowboys are a top 5 defense. So
are they really?
I'm pretty sure.
I will look that up. Well, you keep
talking.
Look
that up. I'm like almost positive that they're a top 5 overall defense. I don't know about their running defense, but I thought I saw that they were like a top 5. But I could be wrong.
Stand by. Hang on. They're 23rd in terms of yards. I want to look at rushing though. Well, you keep talking. Give me a second.
I don't know why I thought they were like a top 5 defense.
I think Patriots secondly qualify.
They have good like linebackers and linemen. Like, you'd assume that they would be high up in run defense.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they did.
Perhaps the Pats game knocked them down. Because like they should have handed.
They're top 5 against the rush. There you go.
There we go.
Jaclyn had it.
So no, that's why I'm saying, like, I'm pretty sure that Harris had over 100 yards rushing.
No, he did.
In that game as well. So that's why I feel like that wasn't an only a Jets thing. And he was benched-ish, like, probably halfway through the third quarter. So he could have had a lot more than that, but obviously JJ Taylor needed his touches.
Well, he was also benched, and he was also benched halfway through the third quarter of the Cowboys game because he got too tired, like he always does.
That's fair. I don't know. I think that the Patriots showed offensively that they have balls, and that they are, I don't know, just like from the get-go, like having your first touchdown against the Jets be that like double pass, that's something that wins games.
That was another thing I had beef, though. I was like, why are we dialing up all these trick plays against the Jets? Save them for a team that you need to do something. Like they worked well against
them, against people who aren't.
But now it's on film.
But trick plays aren't something you
practice.
You don't practice those in a game, though. You just practice those in practice. Like I liked when they used the trick plays against like I think they used one against the Cowboys, but they used a couple against the Bucks, and those worked really well.
That one against the Ravens last year with Jacoby Myers throwing a touchdown?
Those are the times you dial those up where you're kind of like, I mean, well, crap, like, what else are we going to do? We got to find something to get a chunk play. Let's get weird. You don't need to get chunk plays against the Jets. You do that by just breathing.
All right, so I have two observations from this. Number one, I think that they put in all these trick plays because they knew they needed to win this game. Like, let's be honest. If they win the game, it's like, okay, that's what you were supposed to do. But if you lose the game, your season's over. No question about 100%. it. So they needed to go and win, and they wanted to go, like I said, beef up the confidence a little bit. Number two, I think that this was the first, I mean, I think we all can see this, but this was the first real time that I really felt like I was watching the Brady Patriots, in the sense that this is a tomato can opponent. You should absolutely kill this team, and they did. Because they have not done that in forever. The last 50-point game that they had put up was 2015 against the Jags and Blake Bortles. Much the similar opponent, a very similar result. Obviously, it's different circumstances, but nonetheless, this is what you should be doing to teams of this caliber. Like, you shouldn't be settling for field goals. That's what I really liked about the offense yesterday. They are finally starting to convert to touchdowns. They're finally starting to let Mac throw it into the end zone a little bit more. They're letting him take a couple of deep shots like that go route down the left sideline. Would I have liked him to be the one to throw the touchdown pass to Nelson Aguilar instead of Kendrick Bourne? Absolutely, because that meant that Mac Jones was taking another shot down the field. But you know what? I guess if you do it,
QB3.
Good. But you got to keep pushing the ball down the field, otherwise teams are not going to respect it. And then you run into problems with defenses creeping up and up and up. Kyle?
I will say, and I don't know if this might stop me if it starts to bite into like one of your future questions that you're going to ask, but I think the big takeaway is like, even as good as the team was, like, yes, it's still the Jets. Like, what are you going to do with this? Like, everyone played
very good. Very good, Kyle.
Pretty much everyone played well. They look great. You got the 50 burgers all around. What's next? Because that's what the Pats did a lot last year. Look at when they played the Chargers last year, and they absolutely wiped them. And Cam Newton got benched for Stidham because he was playing well, and it was one of those. You're like, oh, okay, this is fun. And what do? They followed up immediately just with a stinker against the Rams. Like, barely attempted a pass. I think Devin Asiasi had the only touchdown in that game. Like, it was just an absolute dumpster fire. How are they going to respond next week? How are they going to build on what they did this week?
And that is one of the points that I wanted to bring up. Is this team finally starting to establish an identity? Is this team starting to coalesce? Is there something to build on from this game, whether it be, I get it's a meaningless opponent, but is there something to, well, hey, guess what? 4 straight weeks you've thrown to Hunter Henry in the red zone and he's caught a touchdown after I slandered him, as Kyle so eloquently points out every time he scores a touchdown. Is there something to? Damian Harris has now run for over 100 yards in 2 straight games, and the offensive line is starting to get a couple of holes for the running backs. Is there something to? The more Kendrick Bourne gets into this offense, the better it looks. I just don't know. Do you guys foresee them doing what they did last year, as Kyle just said, kind of 1 step forward, 2 steps back? Or are they going to be doing this more starting with the Chargers this week? Because they still don't have a marquee win. They have only beaten teams that have 1 win so far this year. The Texans and the Jets. That's it. Are they going to put it forward and get a marquee win against the Chargers this week? And will they continue to build on this? Either one of you guys can take this one.
Jaclyn, I started for most of them, so you go.
Okay, yeah. I think that this week is definitely going to be a challenge, obviously. I mean, you're going to the West Coast, first of all. So it's not on your home turf, playing a very good team, a very well-coached team as well. So it's like...
Not something you usually say about the Chargers.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that the Chargers are pretty banged up. So I think that might play into the Patriots' game plan going into the Chargers game. But I think that the confidence is really what is going to hopefully move over into this game. Because this is not a game that they, on paper, they should be competitive, obviously. But, like, in actuality, this is not a game that many people will think that they will be able to win. And so I think that if the offensive line, I think it really comes down to the offensive line. And it comes down to, okay, will Mac Jones have enough time to look through all of his reads and figure out who he's going to throw to? And will the offensive line allow rushes to occur without getting swallowed up behind the line of scrimmage? So it's like how I think that the Patriots have had a lot of growing pains as a new team. I mean, this is like basically a whole new roster on the offensive weapons side. So that, coupled with an offensive line that hasn't allowed Mac Jones, a rookie, to throw the ball effectively, has kind of come together in this game. So I'm hoping that in the next game, it does as well, if that makes sense.
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because the Chargers are a good team, but they're still a young team. They're in a very similar situation that the Pats are. They're still figuring everything out. Sure, they've started pretty hot. And the one thing that I will give the Pats in this game is the Chargers defense, it's a little banged up. No Kenneth Murray, of course, my guy. Although he might be back. I think he was only supposed to miss 3 weeks, so he might be back for this game. I don't know. I'll have to look at that.
But more importantly,
their defense is not that great.
They're the worst against the run in the league.
This is a good opportunity for them because when the Chargers have lost, it's been because whichever team they were playing was able to wreak havoc on Justin Herbert, which is something I think that Matthew Judon and that line could do. Barmore, yeah. Judon, Uche. Uche had a fumble recovery. Good for him. I think he forced it too. I don't remember. But the Chargers are very susceptible because they're a young growing team. And I think that it's a team that Bill Belichick will be able to dial up a good game plan for. Now, am I going to go right out and say the Pats are winning this game? I don't know, because it depends on it really depends on can the defense get to Justin Herbert. Because if they can't, Herbert's going to light them up. But I think the offense is going to have a pretty good shot in this game. I'm not very high on the Chargers defense without Kenneth Murray. Even with him, they have not looked great. So that gives them a good shot.
This is the Chargers' defensive philosophy. They're not built around their defense. They're built around their offense. They give up 162 yards on the ground per game, which is dead last in the league, worse than Houston, worse than Seattle, worse than Philadelphia. Wow. They give up 364 yards, I believe, total per game. They've given up 76 points in their last 2 games, 42 to Cleveland, 34 to Baltimore, both teams that were able to run down their throat. Can the Patriots do it? Time will tell. But one of the reasons that our revamped confidence in this offense has really come about, this free agent class is starting to look better by the week. At the start of the year, it wasn't looking so hot. Now it's looking a little bit better. So I pose the question to you, and we're going to maybe spend 5 minutes on this before getting into 10 questions, because we're definitely going to be doing this at the end of the season as well. Favorite free agent addition so far? And I know that there is an easy answer out there, but one has come on real strong in the last couple of weeks, and I'm hoping one of you guys will talk about him, unless I will. Do either one of you guys want to start with this? I think Jaclyn's thinking. So Kyle, who's your favorite free agent addition so far?
I mean, I love Judon. I think
He's
that
the
you're
obvious
thinking.
one for sure.
I'm not going to say who you're thinking of because I don't want to just spoil it because I'm not going to say him. Mine's just going to be Hunter Henry because he's been consistent. He's been what we expected him to be, and it's just nice to actually have a tight end that the Pats can rely on. I'm still waiting for Johnny Smith to have that game. I think last game was going to be that game if he didn't get hurt, which is what really frustrated me because he looked great for the drives he was out there for, and I wish he could have ripped off a big run, caught a touchdown pass, caught maybe 2 or something like that. Maybe the pass that goes to Henry goes to Judon. Well, that would be something. Goes to Jonnu instead, and he gains a lot of confidence from that. But so I'm still waiting for him to unlock. But Hunter Henry has been as advertised so far, and I'm loving it.
So the guy I wanted to talk about was Kendrick Bourne, and I think
That's what I was gonna say.
He is fast becoming my favorite free agent addition, and I was the big Judon guy heading into this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Bourne is better than, I'd say, Myers in the slot, in my opinion. He's better on the outside than Aguilar, who's starting to look like the worst free agent addition out of the bunch. I really like what I'm seeing from Kendrick Bourne, and I know you got him for, I think, 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back and look at that. But he's
It's at
been
least 2.
It feels like the more that he gets ingratiated into this offense, he's the guy that's honestly been moving the sticks a lot. I think Jacoby Myers had one big third down play. 2 years? Okay. I think that Jacoby Myers had one big third down catch across the middle. But outside of that, it was a lot of Kendrick Bourne. He's throwing passes now for some God-given reason. I'm sure Jakob Johnson's going to be lining up to get the next throw in practice. But
you mean Derrick Henry light?
Seriously,
Yeah.
James
I heard
Walker.
that.
This is once again going
Diet
back to
Derrick Henry.
my beef with the
I think,
broadcasting
though,
team. Why?
I think the reason he said that was because of his hair. And
Please
his size.
just stop, James Lofton. I'm begging you, stop.
I understand the reaction, but I think it had to do with the fact they both kind of have like long like hair like that and are like big running back type players, you know.
So basically, Kendrick Bourne, I love him a lot. He's been probably my favorite Patriot on offense so far this year. I don't think that there's Mac Jones obviously, but I feel like that's an easy answer. Kendrick Bourne has probably been his best weapon, I'd say. I don't know what you guys would think about that, Jaclyn. I know you were thinking of your favorite
I might
free
say
agent,
Henry
but
better than him, but still.
Okay.
I agree. He's good.
I mean, the obvious one is Judon. I feel like he has just been a game wrecker. I feel like in every single game that he has played, I have been like, oh, there you are. Like he's always there.
Oh.
That's what you want to see. You're like, oh, there's the red sleeves again. There he goes, and he's wreaking havoc in the pocket, and he's getting held on every play because they cannot. Their offensive
Donovan
line
Mitchell
cannot
said
stop
about
him
him?
otherwise. Like, how many drawn penalties has he had this season?
Not
I
enough.
don't know.
actually
It's not
curious.
enough. Yeah, not enough. That's the answer.
Because, I feel like he should have at least 5 or 6, and I feel like it's probably around 3 or 4, but I don't know. But I'm very
He's also the
curious.
only real
Wait,
playmaker on defense because J.C. Jackson gets torched week to week. He still didn't look all that good outside of the interception yesterday against the Jets. He let Mike White. We didn't even get to make fun of Mike White yet. Have you ever heard of someone named Mike White and suddenly he's the quarterback for the Jets?
No.
NPC, if I've ever heard one. This man was genned in as one of those stock 2K guys when the simulation gets past 2027 or whatever. And
Create a quarterback. That's him.
seriously, Mike White. Are you kidding me? Good news, though, obviously, we all saw before we started recording that arm punt sensei Joe Flacco is coming back to New York. The chosen one has returned. But yeah, still funny. All right, we're going to transition to 10 questions here, and let's get going. It's just, like I said, a little bit of a negative spin on it. I kind of found it fun because it was fun to bash on some teams or people that we will get to a little bit later. So I'm really interested to see what you guys have for answers for some of these. All right.
All right.
Question number 1, Kyle. You get to start. Will the Chiefs make the playoffs? If you told me the Patriots have the same record as the Chiefs 7 weeks in, I would have been very happy. But turns out the Chiefs are just 3-4. Kyle.
I guess we're not really that happy.
Yeah, not as happy.
I think they will. I mean, I know they have not looked good so far, but I just feel like they have to figure it out at some point. I just don't think that it's possible for them not to figure it out. Would I be okay if they don't? Yeah. I just don't know if they can. I just don't know if that's possible.
For those who are not watching on YouTube, I was vigorously nodding up and down. Jack.
I said no, and I named all of the teams that I think could get in over them. Okay. All the 7 teams that I think will be in the playoffs on the AFC side this season.
Okay.
The Bills. This is in no particular order.
Okay.
The Bills, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Ravens, the Titans, the Browns, and the Bengals.
I think you could honestly also make the argument that I just lost Indy. Indy might be making a bit of a comeback
and
too.
then if the Patriots get it together, perhaps. The Patriots depends on the split with the Bills. If they split with the Bills, I think that they have an opportunity to. If they lose both to the Bills, they're done.
They're going to end up missing the playoffs because they lost to the Dolphins, which is going to stink.
Seriously.
Don't say that.
I'm going to say yes because of the AFC competition. Now, I understand all the teams that Jaclyn just rattled off are very good and will probably end up in the playoffs. But every team in the AFC has 2 losses. There are 5 teams in the NFC with 1 or fewer, if I'm not mistaken. Dallas, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, LA, and the Cardinals. The power of the NFL right now is in the NFC. So the AFC being so log-jammed, the Patriots are 2 games out of the number 1 seed, which is dumb, but true. So who knows? We'll see. Yes, Kyle?
Quickly, though, I do want to say, you mentioned all the top AFC teams having lost games. The top 2 teams in the AFC are the Bengals and the Raiders, and they both share a loss. Do you know which team they both lost to?
The Bears.
The Bears! What?
Yikes.
What?
I was about to say they both lost to them at home, but I'm pretty sure the Bengals were in Chicago.
They were, yeah. They were.
Definitely
were.
were.
But the top 2 teams in the AFC both lost to the Bears?
That is wild. That is funny. I've gone over this a couple of times. I am now 7-0 picking the Bears so far this year. 1-5 picking the Vikings.
Wow.
Yikes.
I would have rather switched it. I would have rather gotten all my Vikings picks correct.
You
These
need
are the
to
team
start
I like.
You need to start putting money on the Bears or against
seriously.
them.
I guess. We'll see. All right. Question number 2, Jaclyn, you get to start. I love this question.
I don't.
Who are you giving a second contract to first? Daniel Jones or Tua Tagovailoa? I know they're different free agency classes. Let's assume you have a contract. You have to give it to one of these 2 guys. Who are you giving it to?
This is like a depressing question. Neither of them, but also, I guess, Daniel Jones. I don't know. I just think I have more faith in Daniel Jones because Tua is still making rookie mistakes in his sophomore season. Whereas Daniel Jones has just had bad coaches. I think...
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. That's my reasoning behind it.
Sorry to cut you off on that one, my bad.
No, you're good.
Daniel Jones, simply for the fact that he has some rushing upside and Tua doesn't. Kyle?
Well, I originally was gonna be facetious and say Daniel Jones because his contract is up first. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not totally. I mean, I don't think Tua is very good right now, but I think he could be maybe he could be the real Sam Darnold, which is something I'll touch on later. Where if he gets into a different system when they inevitably move on from him, he might be able to turn something around. But I mean, I don't know. They both don't look like they have a ton of upside right now.
Question number 3, are you buying the Bengals? And I get to start on this one. And I also put what is their ceiling? Because I think to a degree they have to be taken seriously. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win the division, but they will be in a wild card spot. And I think that they have a chance to win the wild card game and then lose in the divisional round. They are a year early on their rebuild. Their defense is looking pretty solid. But at the end of the day, I still don't think that offensive line is good enough to hold up in the playoffs, which is why I have them at max winning 1 playoff game. But kudos to you. I was very happy that you beat the Ravens last week. Jaclyn was the only one who got that pick right. Kyle.
Damn, I thought I took the Bengals. Man, no. I should have done that.
Yeah, I should have in hindsight.
I believe in them. I was definitely not a believer in them, but I mean, they keep getting results. I mean, Jamar Chase is already Rookie of the Year already. I mean, literally everyone in the football
Justin
world
Jefferson's receiving records stood for exactly 1 year, and they're already going to be toast, and I'm sad about that.
By his teammate.
Seriously, that's what hurts even more.
I honestly think that they could win the division only because they beat the Ravens. The Steelers, obviously not. They're not going to do anything. The Browns, nowhere near consistent nor healthy enough to be challenging for the division.
Exactly.
The Browns are going to be fighting for the last seed in the playoffs with the Patriots right now, unfortunately. But and the Chiefs, who knows? But no, I mean, I think the Bengals they've gotten some statement wins. They're definitely proving everyone wrong. I think they'll be at least a 3 or 4 seed, and I maybe win 1 playoff game, maybe lose. Just kind of depends on who they end up facing.
Jaclyn?
Yeah, I'm buying into the Bengals. I love Joey Burrow. He's the best. I'm really high on a lot of quarterbacks. I feel like the league right now is in its prime of like young, talented quarterbacks, and so especially in the AFC. So that's just something that I've really appreciated. Watching him has been incredible, and I'm glad that he could come back from his knee absolutely blowing to smithereens. But I think
better
that
protect
their
him
ceiling,
next year.
yeah, I think that their ceiling is losing in the wild card. I don't think that they can win a playoff game. Like you said, with that offensive line, if they go out and they get an O lineman before the trade deadline, which is next week.
Yep.
Sheesh.
Next
Yeah,
year.
I know. It came up quick. So if they can go out and get an O lineman, maybe they could win one playoff game, but I don't really foresee them being able to, be in the playoffs a team like the Bills or the Raiders or the Chargers.
All right. Question number 4. It's Chargers week. So, Kyle, they do this on Felger and Matt sometimes. I don't know why I haven't introduced this before, to be honest with you. I think this should almost be a weekly installment. But who is your favorite Charger of all time?
Well, currently, it's, of course, my boy Kenneth Murray.
Yep.
But my actual favorite Charger of all time is my second favorite running back of all time, LaDainian Tomlinson. Love LT. Had his jersey as a kid. Absolute legend. One of the best running backs to ever play the game. I on my fantasy, not my fantasy, but my ultimate team on Madden, my starting running back is Adrian Peterson, and my backup running back is LaDainian Tomlinson because I love the two of them so much.
Jaclyn.
Justin Herbert. I love that guy.
All right.
That's it.
I also went with a running back. So after LT left the Chargers, they went to, I believe, Donald Brown at tailback. And the guy after him is the guy that I chose. Do you guys remember Ryan Matthews? He was a running back for the Chargers. He eventually went to the Eagles afterwards. That dude was electric. I loved watching him because I didn't mind the Chargers ever. The Broncos were always... I hated the Broncos more at the time. I hated the Chiefs after that because they kind of traded the division back and forth, and the Chargers were sort of the plucky underdog there. Also, Eddie Royal, the wide receiver. Loved him too. So those were my 2 picks. Question number 5. Could Georgia, my Georgia Bulldogs, number 1 ranked in the country, going to face Florida on Saturday down in Jacksonville, beat the Jets or the Lions in an actual NFL game? And as a sidebar, which game would be closer? Jaclyn?
I said that they could beat the Jets, but I think that the Lions, no, because of the coaching, which is weird, but I think that the coaching, they ran 2 fake punts in the last game.
Yeah, they played like it was Madden.
That was insanity. So I think that they would have to pull something like that. The game that would be closer would be the Lions game, but the Lions would end up on top, but the Jets would lose.
Georgia's not beating both of them because NFL caliber players are still better. I just wanted to use this as a spotlight to show, again, just how bad the Jets are. The Jets game would be closer. They would both beat them. It would be a lot closer for the Jets. And if you threw the Texans in there, I would say the Texans would probably be in the middle of the two. I think the Lions would blow them out the most because they have a competent quarterback. Kyle?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the Lions are just they're just one of those teams where they have the pieces are in a rough way are kind of there. They've put together some decent performances. They just aren't able to, see them out to the end. I mean, there are a couple teams here that they should have beaten and didn't. That's why Dan Campbell was crying in the post-game press conference. But I think they would be able to beat Georgia.
All right, question number 6. If the Cowboys weren't America's team, who would be? I wanted to put this in the 10 questions for last week. Obviously, didn't have shows because I was feeling under the weather. But now here it is, so I could recycle it for this week. If the Cowboys weren't America's team, my pick would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not because of the players on their team, it's because Pittsburgh is one of those, steel cities, hardworking, blue-collar. It's been one of the blue blood franchises, I always stumble on that phrase, of the NFL for forever. It's one of the quote-unquote model organizations, even though they employ an absolute sack bag of crap at the quarterback. It doesn't matter. I'm taking the Steelers as the organization, not the Steelers players. I'm going to take the Steelers as my pick. Kyle, who would you take? Who would you replace the Cowboys with for America's team?
Yeah, I'd say the Packers or the Steelers. I mean, they're just the 2 most historic teams. I mean, that's kind of where the Cowboys get their moniker, I feel like, obviously because of their success, but also just because of the history behind them, and I feel like those 2 would make the most sense.
I I tried to think of this in a way that could be marketed internationally.
I like this. I like where this is going.
Because when you think about baseball, the two biggest brands in baseball are the Dodgers and the Yankees, unfortunately. Because those are two major cities. And so, I feel like when you have your bigger draw coming from Europe, currently, of your international fan base, as well as Canada, a team that could be considered a America's team would be one of the New York teams. Buffalo is too far away from New York City to be considered America's team, in my opinion. They can be Canada's team. America's
Send
team
them to Canada.
would probably, it can't be the Jets, so by default, it would have to be the Giants.
And the Giants have the recent history.
They have the recent history. They've defeated a dynasty twice in a Super Bowl, and everyone loves to hate dynasties. And they're in one of the biggest markets in the United States. And they have a logo that's pretty marketable as well. Therefore, it would be the Giants.
Kyle?
Can I throw in one kind of based off of Jaclyn's logic? Because this is where I thought she was going.
Yeah.
The Rams.
That's exactly where I thought she was going.
That was my
The
other
Rams
thought,
they're the LA team. They're
LA
good.
with the
they got a good
gravitas and the
branding,
stars
you know.
that they have. Yeah.
The new stadium. It wouldn't be the Chargers. I mean, it wouldn't be the Chargers.
No, unfortunately.
That's where I thought you were gonna go. I thought you were about to be
I just want to say
your boy
East
Herbie. I
Coast.
was gonna say the Chargers aren't even marketable in LA.
No. No, I wish that it
proud
were
of-
the Chargers.
I'm proud of us that we did not take the homer pick. Although I think a lot of people would say the Patriots. They're the second most popular team in terms of like search results. People looking up teams for football. Cowboys number 1, Patriots number 2 in almost every one of those metrics. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. But
See, the
I'm
reason why
proud
it
of us
couldn't
that
be
none of us
America's
went with
team-
it.
The reason why it could be America's team is literally everyone in America hates them with a burning passion.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate
Except
America.
Well,
I mean,
if
a lot of
there
people get
were
pissed
no-
at people in charge. So I mean, I don't know.
If the Patriots do have the America branding. I mean, their colors are red, white, and blue, and they're called the Patriots because New England started the Revolutionary War. So, like, that would be...
I'm so glad I gave this
the
question because
epitome.
Jaclyn being the PR major made this so much
So-
better. So much better.
No, but
love
that
this.
would be, like, the epitome of, like, America. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
your
That would be.
standard... Like, they literally have militiamen who fire cannons or fire guns after
Fire the cannons. Go
touchdowns.
Bucks.
People just hate us too much.
People hate us because
I heard this question. I saw this question being asked in another format, and somebody goes, "Wherever Tom Brady goes, America's team." I'm like, nice. All right, question number 7. Kyle, you get to start. Who is the biggest loser this week? You can take that however you want.
Well, it was the Jets mathematically, but
Yes.
I think that the Panthers were because they got blown out by the Giants. Sam Darnold had to get benched, and I know they're banged up. No McCaffrey. They're missing a lot of key guys in their defense, but it just shows that all that stuff at the beginning of the season was just a fluke. Like
Love it.
they're really just a team, and 25-3 to Daniel Jones, who
It's the
keep in
Sam
mind,
Darnold
had
we all know and love.
He had no help. Like, Daniel Jones was basically the only... And he's, like, scrambled right now in his head still. So,
Exactly.
like, it just showed that whole Panthers thing was a fluke, which is a bummer because I kind of liked them at the beginning of the year.
Jaclyn.
I feel like this week was a big losing week. I feel like a lot of people didn't have great games, but specifically, and the person who I have a vendetta against right now is Patrick frickin' Mahomes. I am so angry at him. I drafted him with my 11th pick in my fantasy.
Well, that was just
because
a bad idea.
It was a snake league. It was a snake league with 10 people. It wasn't going to get back to me. He was not going to get back to me. He had a great season last year. I thought, oh, Jaclyn, you're so smart. You're going to pick Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to get you 20-plus points every single game. Freaking wrong. He got me 8 points. He's thrown an interception in, like, every single game that he's played. Granted, according to his mother, it's not his fault. So, I have a vendetta against Patrick Mahomes right now. I'm kind of upset with him. It's just this thing we have going right now. I'm hoping that it improves. But Patrick Mahomes was the biggest loser this week, and he needs to step it up.
So eloquently put. I think we may get to the Chiefs again later on. We'll see. My biggest loser, the Browns. And it's not for the reason that you would think. They did suffer some more injuries this week, but more importantly, the Bengals showed that they were for real this week, and that's just going to put a whole nother wrench into the Browns' plans to try and compete in the AFC North. I thought all they were going to have to worry about was the Ravens this year. I thought that the Bengals are going to fall off eventually, and they just got off to a hot start. Beating the Ravens in Baltimore, something that it's been a long time since they've done that. First time they scored 41 points since, I think, 2015. That says something. And that spells trouble for an injury-riddled Browns roster. All right.
100%.
Question number 8. Who is the worst coach in the league? Jaclyn, go.
Urban Meyer. How is he still employed?
I knew people were going to say Urban Meyer, so I wanted to go with the hard-ass Joe Judge. God, you suck. Man, it's you need to be fired soon. There are a lot of coaches that need to be fired soon. You are one of them. Screw off, Joe Judge. You thinking that you're better than Belichick, and you can be harder than Belichick and more angry at your players. No, the Belichick brand only works if you win, and he does not win. Kyle?
Yeah, I wrote Urban Meyer too, only because, maybe you could look at guys like Judge or Dan Campbell, who are kind of buffoons. The guy whoever the hell the coach out in Philly is too, is also
Nick
kind of
Sirianni.
a moron.
No.
Yes.
He plays rock, paper, scissors.
Well, he's
I know,
still an
but
idiot.
He wore a shirt that said "Beat Dallas" or something like that the week they faced Dallas, and then got 40 pieced.
I just know that he doesn't understand how to use his running backs.
Yeah,
but
people are mad about him not running. But
another guy who doesn't know how to use his running backs was Urban Meyer. I mean, he didn't use James Robinson for the first 3 weeks of the season. It's like, dude, the guy's a 1,000-yard rusher. Just let him run the friggin' ball. Doesn't have the respect of the locker room. Not a good coach. Is lucky to even have a win. See you later. Was lucky to have a job.
So, honorable mention, Bears fans are on Twitter today. We're very happy that Matt Nagy tested positive for COVID, which should be all you need to know about the Bears situation right now in terms of coaching. All right, moving on. Question number 9. What team does the NFL continue to put in primetime that you're absolutely sick of watching? I get to start. It's the team that just finished up and just lost, the Seahawks. God, I hate this team. I'm so sick of them. Even with Russell Wilson. They got 5 primetime games this year, and I don't want to watch them anymore. I'm so sick of them. I said it before at the start of the year. They have no talent on the roster, and that's the reason they're going to suffer. Lo and behold, they're 2-5. Who could have seen that coming? I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of the Seahawks. Kyle?
I like the Seahawks in primetime only because their games are always chaos, not necessarily because they're a good team.
That's a good point.
But it have not been as chaos this year because they just haven't been that good. Last year, though, last year's Seahawks on primetime,
Heart Attack
unmatched.
Central.
Some of the best games I've ever
Arizona
watched.
game?
Unbelievable. Both of them. Both the Arizona games are phenomenal, and they're both primetime games.
Yeah, one of them was
for me,
Thursday
it's
night. That's right.
For me, it's literally any NFC East team that isn't the Cowboys. I don't want to ever have to watch Washington, Philly, or the Giants.
I love that
primetime
pick.
game
That's a great
ever.
pick.
Originally, it would have just been any NFC East team. That's what it was last year. But the Cowboys are actually fun to watch now.
Yep.
The Eagles, maybe. The Eagles sometimes can keep it close. Maybe if you have garbage time points, fine. But Washington is... The Giants are...
Great.
So are the
Jaclyn.
Eagles.
Mine is for no reason other than I just don't like this team.
It's the Steelers,
But,
isn't it?
Yeah. I just
Good,
don't want to watch
good.
Big Ben in primetime. No,
You don't
want
want to watch a fat sack of rice waddle around the field?
No,
No.
I don't.
Shocking.
Can I also say, who cares about the Steelers?
Literally.
Who cares?
They're not
You
even
know?
the most relevant team in the AFC North anymore. Stop putting them in primetime.
All right. Finishing up with question number 10. This is one of my favorite questions of the week, and I really want to see what you guys say. So Kyle, you get to start. What's one player, coach, or team in the league that you hate but everybody else loves?
Well, I guess I get to go with kind of the obvious one for myself, and I guess it's not as true anymore, but it's Washington. I mean, everyone kind of loves the group that Washington has, and last year they were everyone's darling, but I will never, ever in my entire life root for them. I am reaping what I've sowed by drafting Antonio Gibson in fantasy this year, and he stinks. He sucks. That's what I get for putting my faith in someone who plays for Washington. He's a bum. Get out. Get out.
Jaclyn.
Mine is someone who I have mentioned on the show before, and it's Alejandro Villanueva. I think that he is kind
outside
of
the box pick.
Yeah, and that's just because he was an asshole to me. Granted, I was 16, and I asked him, I just tried to make conversation with this man, and he didn't even, like, not recognize me, but, like, he didn't, like, even talk back to me. Yes, acknowledge. Thank you. He didn't acknowledge me, and we were just checking people in to an event, and I tried to make conversation with him, and he ignored me. Flat out ignored me. People love him because he's, like, in the military, and he represents
former, like, Army Ranger
Nation
or something.
and, like, all of this stuff. No. He was an ass to me, and I will never get over it. Ever.
All right, I'm up, and I want to see if you guys can guess, because I'm well known to be the guy who hates the most people / teams on
I was going to say, I could not possibly begin
cast.
to think who you're going to pick for this.
Okay,
there are
so
like
I feel
9,
like it's gonna be
10,
kinda outside
25
the
different...
box.
Yeah, I hope it is.
It is. You guys
Is
have.
it
You guys
Harbaugh?
have. No. See, I think a lot of people hate Harbaugh, so I didn't go with him, even though I clearly do hate him. But you're on the right track. Can you think of a guy that a lot of people love? He's not doing so hot right now. But I've been vocal in saying that I think he sucks and people don't understand. Kyle?
Andy Reid.
Fat Walrus Andy Reid is my pick. That absolute beached whale needs to get out of Kansas City soon and find a harbor that he can slip into. Good God, the Cheesecake Factory menu's looking a little bit thin when you can't get those ribs, Andy. He is going to absolutely find himself out of Kansas City soon if he doesn't start to adjust. He hasn't figured out how to play offense against a cover 2 defense to save his life. And it is very funny. I love the fact that he's starting to suck. Everyone's starting to see that, guess what? He's not all that good of a coach. He's not. People give him a lot of love. He doesn't deserve it. He's not as good as people think. He's still an upper echelon coach, but he's certainly not better than Belichick, which is what a lot of people have been saying for a long time now, at least the last 2-3 years. He's not better. He's just not. And watching the Chiefs crumble is extra special for me because I hate that fishbowl of a coach, Andy Reid. Now, if we wanted to go college football included, Kyle hates my opinion on Nick Saban because I think he's overrated too, but we're not gonna visit that today. All right, that'll do it for us. Quickly at the end here, I'd like to get your guys' Thursday Night Football predictions. Finally, a very good game on the docket this week. We have the Packers heading into Arizona to face the undefeated Cardinals. 6-1 versus 7-0. No Davante Adams. Chandler Jones coming off the COVID list. Davante Adams going on to it. So, who are you guys taking? Packers or Cardinals? Kyle, I'm pretty sure I know your answer, but I want to hear you say it.
Cardinals in a prove-it game. They win this game, I'll actually really believe in them. They've kind of they've gotten lucky sometimes. They've had kind of an easier schedule at times. They're still coached by Cliff Kingsbury. As much as I love the Cardinals and I love Kyler, I'm 7-0 on picking them because I've picked them every week. But I still have not seen like a real marquee. I mean, I guess beating the Rams is kind of that, but
That's
like
a marquee win.
It is,
but
but like
this is it. This is 7-0. You know, you have to take care of business at home against the Packers. Jaclyn? She's hedging.
Is tough. It's tough.
Do you want me to go while you think about it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take the Cardinals here. I'm not going to root for the Packers, I can tell you that much. Davante Adams going on the COVID list is a massive factor for me. But also, it's home team on Thursday Night Football. I would like to check the stats on that this year, but to my recollection, only one home team has lost so far on Thursday Night Football. That would be, not counting, even counting opening night because the Bucs won. That would be the Seahawks up against the Rams on Thursday night a couple of weeks ago. Outside of that, from what I remember, all the home teams have won. The Browns were at home, obviously, last week. I'm going to take the home team. And as Kyle said, this is the game for the Cardinals. Step up. Kyler Murray can have his MVP moment in this game if he wants to, and then the Cardinals will be for real. Jaclyn?
I just don't know. This is so difficult. If Adams was playing, I feel like it would be easier for me. But because he's not, I'm like, oh, who else is really the big target up there? I'm just going to go. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to say the Packers.
All right.
I'm going to say the Packers.
2 versus 1. We'll get Jordan's vote in afterwards. So that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you to Kyle and Jaclyn for joining me. Please check us out on all of our social medias at Mass with Mikes on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Massholes with Mikes on YouTube. There will be 2 videos up this week before the picks episode. So 3 videos total. You're going to get 2 of us. 2 videos from us this week, and then, we will hopefully have Jordan back on Thursday at the time of recording for our picks episode. We will see you guys later in the week. Thank you for listening to us, and have a good day, everybody.